Ori actually is also a really good Magic the Gathering player. I think he was briefly sponsored by a group that, like, one of the Magic sponsors. Really, really good Magic player too. And I think for players that play both Scrabble and another game, you often see strategies from that other game kind of be infused in their style in Scrabble. And I think Ori's definitely someone who is very good at quickly analyzing how his letters can be advantageous on a board, and maybe we'll see that here as he draws into Notepad.
Right, yeah, that is an amazing first draw, and he will waste no time in playing that.
Yeah, so the question is, will you play Notepad, doubling the P, but putting it one spot before a triple to pluralize into Notepads for a ton of points, or do something
Right, that would be
safer
pretty
like what Ori
cool.
said?
I think the only
Yeah.
person who would do that would be Josh.
Shout out to Josh Sokol, I
Yeah, no.
believe.
Yeah.
Not one of the many other Joshes in the
Yeah.
community.
Always goes for the content play.
Yeah, no, I think Ori's placement makes a lot of sense. And it's also worth noting he didn't even choose to double the D tile because that would have allowed underlaps that with vowels under and above the double letter score letters.
Right, and he also
so better
decided to
connect
put
for
the
his
P.
opponent.
He also put the P in the double lane instead of the T, which I think makes it a lot harder to double.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
for
for sure.
newer players who are wondering how we're doing all these calculations so quick, just think about Ori's play scored 72 points. The highest scoring version that's super risky scores 76 points. If you think your opponent can score more than 4 points extra by moving one spot over Notepad, it's probably not worth it to take those extra 4 points. And that's, I think, kind of the calculation all these best Scrabble players you're seeing on stream are doing. It's just, okay, this play scores this many more points. How much better will my opponent score? How much better will I score in future turns based on what I'm leaving? Those are the sorts of costs and benefits we're all weighing throughout a game.
Yep.
And one other thing about Notepad, just you might play Notepad one spot before the triple if you think you're the underdog in a game. If you think you're worse than your opponent, you might say, you know what, I want the easy chance of if I draw an S right away, I'll have an even bigger advantage. And the fact that Ori doesn't play that should say, okay, he's pretty confident in his abilities here.
Yeah, that is a good point. But I also feel like, especially in the top division, I mean, how big is really the gap between the top players? Like, do you feel like anyone is so bad that they should be considering like playing such high variance?
I don't know. It depends. Like, I think I would consider it against Nigel, for instance.
Right, it would be one thing if I played up and I played in Division 1, then I should probably be doing it every single time.
Yeah.
Right, because it leads to these really interesting situations where they have to decide how much they want to sacrifice to block the spot. Yeah, for Michael, he has no bingos with this rack, which looks slightly promising. But yeah, he has Phobia setup, which looks like a pretty good option from the P of Notepad.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Scoring some points.
Leaving the board open.
Yeah, and he's placing it down
Yeah.
now. So Phobia will come down for 26 to start, trying to claw back from a 72-point deficit to start the game.
Yeah, I think that after an opening bingo, you certainly don't want to be making any over-underlapping plays to, the first word that came down because you want to keep the board as open as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
And so Ori has picked up, it's a pretty nice leave. He got, drawing 7 random tiles. He has some synergy. He also has some good scoring tiles in the K and the F.
And he already finds his best scoring play.
Yeah, Kef gets rid of the 2 hefty tiles and scores 40 in the process. Sign me up for that.
And he's keeping a pretty good lead there of INGS as well. It's interesting.
Yeah, that is an amazing lead.
A lot of the time you would want to keep the E instead of the I and just play KIF there, but because his other letters are NGS, it seemed better to keep those together.
Yep.
Yep. In the meantime, Michael has drawn into his own bingo. He doesn't have it set up yet, but to the O in Notepad, he does have Trecento.
I've missed that word so many times.
I think he played Duecento also. I think he played Duecento earlier on the tournament. So,
oh, man.
Wow,
so
and here he goes playing it.
So Trecento, Duecento, I think Seicento, Seicento is another word.
Yeah, he's got to get them all.
Nice
he's
fight
there. All the Cento words. So he plays it, though. We know what he's been studying, though. So that will make it basically a tie game, and now Ori drew an E at least, which pairs nicely with SING that he kept, but the second G and a P...
Yeah, that's second G.
Yeah, that's
not good
helping
synergy.
him.
Yeah, so what would y'all look to do here?
Yeah, I would look for a fishing play here. Playing off the P and the G would probably be my priority. Something like Pig at L. What is that? L. I can't read. On top of Notepad, and setting up an S hook as well for Pigs. Yeah, I think that seems like a pretty solid play. Or just Peg even.
Peg.
Yeah, Peg probably slightly better.
Yeah, so Peg through the first E in Trecento would score 11 points. Just EGINST is so strong, and especially with the T slotted in the top middle position of where Trecento is, you can get an IEST word and like 2 letters before NGIEST. There are a bunch of words that fit that pattern. So, but
looks like
Ori's
he's deciding just to score
Longbow.
here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I
That
know.
seems totally fine too.
Yeah, I know Marlin in the chat a few days ago said ING is a trap.
Yeah.
Ori's avoiding that trap, it looks like.
Yeah, I think it depends on the board.
Yeah,
I
and
think
when
when
the
you're first
scores
getting
go-
into the game, you might be overvaluing stuff like ING. But when you have a lot of lanes to play through, it might be better to keep something like that.
Yeah, and Michael does have another bingo. He could play Aniline off of the N in Notepad, making the 2-letter word NE as well. He has that lined up, and I think he's about to put it down.
Yep.
But they are moving through this game fast. I mean, there's already been 3 bingos played. They've taken less than 5 minutes each. We could see a deep end game, think, if it gets close at the end.
I feel like the fact that Michael played that word so quickly shows just how strong his word knowledge is, because he knew already that there weren't any bingos through any of the floaters in Trecento.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
it would take me a few minutes to make sure.
Yeah, me too. I definitely would not have been able to play it that fast.
And yeah, Ori drawing the Q and the U, which will work nicely with the A that Michael just opened up. He can play something like Quota,
That looks
getting
pretty
rid
good.
of one of his O's, getting rid of the Q and U, scoring 42 points. Seems pretty solid.
Yeah, it seems solid. He does have Shuk right now set up on his rack. I'm guessing that's going to go parallel to Pig, making up and QI as well. That will score a few more, but I think we would all, it seems like, gravitate towards keeping the S and also closing down the A spot, which is pretty juicy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, even at his deficit, you might think that you want to keep all those, keep the A open and hope for, a bigger play there. It's just so likely that Michael will play their next turn and take out that spot anyway, and it's such a dangerous scoring spot that it seems best to take it out now.
Yeah, I mean, Quota scores enough that it pretty much ties up the game.
Yeah, and the chat also points out that the front extension of non-quota is in play for Ori. That doesn't quite go to the triple, and I think already 4 Ns have been played, or I guess including what Ori has. So, yeah, those will be, it will be hard to get, but he does elect quota, which I think we all approve, and that will basically tie the game.
Yeah.
That said.
So we
And
see
Michael has a
a
very
J draw
scoring
here.
heavy. Yeah.
It's
And
just tough to know
the
what
X as well.
to
Yeah.
get rid of first in this spot.
Yeah,
Like-
I think I would look for a play that gets rid of the J first.
Yeah,
just
I
because
agree with
I
that.
think the X is a bit more powerful.
The X
But
is
with
easier
that,
to score with too.
the spot on the left side of Pig where you can play the X, that's pretty tempting. Making XI and a parallel play,
Yeah.
something like OX. Yeah.
Yeah, one other option is if Michael wants to prioritize bingoing sooner rather than scoring for both the J and the X in 2 separate turns, is you could play Jinx through the N in Trecento. I tend to be the type of person
True.
to automatically want to milk the most out of each of those tiles.
See,
But
I think I would prefer something like Jig here maybe to the G and Pigged. That does still set up a nice XI spot.
yeah,
And
would
it
you,
gets rid of one of the
That's
eyes.
true.
that's good. Yeah, I mean, would you prefer that, or would you prefer Jin for a few more points off of the Ana Trecento?
I kind of like Jig just because it does leave that XI spot open, which you don't really otherwise have.
Yeah,
Right.
and to expand upon that a bit, I think as he plays Ox actually,
so he played-
and he could draw into an O here to get Oxo and Jug. To be fair, based on
That's
that.
true, but now he's keeping
That's
2
true.
eyes.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
he
super
keeps
fun.
Jin though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd probably prefer Ox. I think it's just a bit too much of a sacrifice in scoring when the XI spot isn't going to score like a dramatic. It's going to score less than OX, and Jig is only scoring 22. So over 2 turns, I think the score would be a little bit less than Ox and keeping Jin or possibly drawing into something better.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's definitely close though.
Yeah, and so Ori drew into a bunch of consonants, and it looks like he has clogs, I'm guessing, aligned on his rack to make that OXO hook through the G and Pigged. That's a really solid idea, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We've
Yeah, that
talked
looks
a
pretty
bit.
good.
We've talked a bit before about do you play off an S when you have a second S, and especially when you have so many consonants, it makes sense to just get through as many of them as possible. I will note
does.
that. Yeah, I'll note that as the board is starting to take shape, the S will have a few different bingo lanes. Phobia won't be blocked that often, so you can likely make phobias. And Notepad won't be blocked that often either, so you can probably start or end bingos with S's. So
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
giving
I was
away the
gonna say
fact
the
that you
S is
have an
pretty
S here isn't
powerful.
that. Yeah. But I don't think it makes
Yeah,
that big
it's
of a
pretty powerful
difference.
here. Yeah,
Like, your
I might have
opponent's not
held
gonna
on
do
to it. I
much.
really like S's.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it also, yes, it's a trade-off.
So I would definitely look to get rid of my J here. He's looking to play Jig, it looks like. Or Jin, I mean.
Jin,
Which seems pretty good.
Right.
and the
Yeah,
really
and
pretty
keeping the D to hook onto it. Yeah.
yeah, and there's a really pretty play
what were you
of
gonna say?
J Didic to the C
Oh,
and
wow.
crescendo as well.
That's pretty
Very
fun.
nice.
But Jin also
Yeah, I think I might do that.
Yeah, Jin does take the D in front as well, which Michael's holding, so I think that might even be a better play anyways. And one other D has been played already, so, he is fairly likely to hit it.
Yeah, he does see the play of J Didic, though, which is kind of cool. Even if he
Yeah.
doesn't play it.
Yeah, it's a flex for camera for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see what else comes of this. The chat also suggested Jokey as a possibility through the OK, a nice little insertion play that scores as much as J Didic, but it does keep 2 eyes, and especially where Aniline has 2 eyes already to play through, we probably want to start disposing of at least one of them.
Yeah, I agree. I really hate keeping double eyes.
Yeah, I feel like every player, you talk to them, and there are certain letter combinations that make their skin crawl a bit. The double I think there are a few players that's definitely a thing for.
Yeah, I'm for sure one
there
of
are
them.
only 3. Yeah, there's only 3 eyes left, so it's not quite as bad as in some other situations, but it's still definitely very it makes your leave very unflexible.
Yeah, and another funny idea from the chat to go for quotability if you're Michael here.
Wow.
This is why we love having the chat here. If you just play Jade, right, to the E, keeping ITIY, and just draw BL, yeah, good job. You win at Scrabble.
That would be so fun.
Yeah, we did see an extension down to that triple earlier. Vigil was extended to Vigilance earlier today. So,
Ooh.
it's not out of the question, but quote-unquote ability is a whole other right, a 6-tile extension, a whole different type of play. And he
Yeah,
plays
that's a
Jhin.
long word.
Hmm.
What is the longest word you've ever seen in a game, Morris? Or both of you?
So I feel like the one I'm gonna say is kind of cheating. Manning was on the board next. Hi everyone, apologies for the delays. We think we have everything set back up finally, so the good news is we will have perfect coverage for the last 2 games of today. You obviously missed a lot of plays between, like Michael playing Filarie to take a really commanding lead, and they're just wrapping up these last few plays now.
Yeah, it was. He got up by, he's up by 150 points, and Valeria really just helped seal the deal and close down a couple more bingo lanes to make a comeback really pretty difficult for Ori at that later stage in the game.
So in the meantime, it is Ori's turn, and he is holding AEHRSUV. One thing to note is that Joey Kraftic did lose this round, so even though Ori, who's in second place, lost, he has not lost any placement in the standings, essentially, compared to Joey. Now, I guess that part doesn't really matter, considering the top 2 players make it to the finals, and Michael will tie Ori in total wins. So this will kind of just reduce the spread of the field and will make the fight for both positions closer.
Which makes it more exciting for us.
Yeah.
Yep.
So someone is asking, have we updated the scores? Yeah, in the meantime, we have been making sure to update and follow with the web coverage that everyone can see, just so that when we got to the live ability to live stream again, it would be up to date. So I think we're caught up. And yeah, the chat's also pointing out, so the specific things that went down after we kind of cut out is, first, Ori fished off 2 Rs, and he just kept not being able to hit bingos, while Michael played Daidi first, and then got back-to-back bingos. So that's really how Michael has sewn up this game. Ori's just kind of, at this point, scanning his options. Eventually, I think he'll settle on a high-scoring play like Shave, and Phobias. Although maybe he's...
Yeah, you really want to give up Cez, though, to Michael.
That's true. That's
a lot of points.
Yes, that's fair.
Because I don't see any great scoring spots for the Z.
Yeah, and actually, he can Z to
No, he
Michael.
can't. He can't.
He
He has
can't?
Cez on the bottom, too. With 9.
Wait, sorry. What? Michael's keeping Z.
Oh, he has
right
Cez. He has Cez.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cez. Yes. Very good. Very good. Yeah.
It still seems like the best endgame is to play AVA at the B2 from the A in Valor, which would block ZA and force Michael to use his S, I guess. Save some spread for Ori.
Yeah, interesting. Let me play through that. We're just using the engine right now. Let's just make sure that I have Cez on this engine. Yeah, okay, it is seeing Cez, so I wonder why. Oh, just because Usher as an out after Phobias would score nice. So it's a tough sequence to see. My guess is he'll do something a bit more human. Yeah, I feel like that's a very computer-generated endgame.
Yeah, he's probably just looking for a decently scoring out in 2 here.
So someone's saying Michael just shuffled the left rack. Or no, sorry, Ori. They corrected it. Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I think Ori. The chat is questioning whether we have the racks flipped. Actually, I think they might be flipped.
Yeah, I think
it
they
looks
are.
like it is Michael's turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apologies for that.
Oh, I see.
So if
they'll just be 1 second. They'll have that fixed.
Yeah. Okay. Looks like they're fixing it now. Oh, never mind. So, production team, it looks like Ori's and Michael's racks are flipped right now. If we can flip those to the opposite players, that'd be great.
33.
There we go. All right.
There it
That
is.
looks better.
And let's see.
And it looks like the last play isn't showing up yet either.
Yeah, they're
Okay,
saying the
fine,
board
fine,
is
fine.
frozen or something.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I think
Oh,
it's
there
been
we- okay.
fixed now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
There it is. So he plays Zeds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll make sure to fix this all before the next game. We can't really stop play mid-game between the players, so we weren't able to go to the table to fix all the little nuances of our production stream. But shout out to the production team, and they've been doing a great job all tournament. I mean, we've come to take it for granted how easy it was to watch Scrabble until someone trips over a power cord.
Yeah, no, they're working super hard. So yeah, big shout out to them.
I think you put in the wrong play there, Morris. He didn't play Says, he played Zeds.
My
Through the
bad, my
EDN,
bad.
yeah.
Got it. Understood. Understood. I will fix that.
Yeah.
How you struggled.
Yeah, I just had 3 R's
And
and
then,
then
yeah,
I can tell.
SH came down
Yeah.
for Michael, and looks like the game's over.
Bingo.
Yeah,
Um,
so we'll get this fixed in a few, everyone. But sorry, Chloe,
Yeah,
you were
sorry
going to say
about
something.
Oh no, I didn't have anything else to say. You're good.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, hopefully the next game would be a bit smoother.
Did not expect
Yeah.
Bingo down to winning by almost 200.
Yeah, but Michael does, standings-wise, even though we weren't able to see the narrative of the game itself, just you should remember the narrative of this round of the tournament is the people not in first and second place have been winning. The people in first and second place both lost. So that just will tighten everything. This was round 19 of the 2022 Scrabble Players Championship. We'll be back for rounds 20 and 21 shortly. Stay tuned.